Hello everyone, in this video, we'll be tackling about the electric fan. To make sure that the electric fan is not working, we'll be testing it first with the multimeter. Since the needle of the multimeter didn't move, it means that there is really a problem with the electric fan. After we proved that the fan is not working, we will now start with the disassembling of parts. First is the front blade guard that prevents curious fingers from the front. Second is the blade that cuts and pushes the air forward. Third is the back blade guard that prevents curious fingers from the back of the head of the electric fan. Fourth is the motor housing that protects the motor. In this part, we'll be attaching the motor housing from the motor itself. In this part, we'll show the motor that has two parts, and that is the rotor and the stator, wherein the stator is the stationary part of the motor, while the rotor is the rotating part of the fan that rotates in the stator, therefore creating electricity. Next part is the black rectangular part called the capacitor that stores electricity. We'll be detaching the capacitor, for we'll later test it with the multimeter, so we'll know if the problem of the electric fan is in the capacitor itself. Here is where we disassembled the stand of the fan so we could look in the switch system and test it with the multimeter to determine if the fan's problem is from the switch system. As seen in the video, the needle is moving when the positive is placed on the switch. Therefore, the problem is within the capacitor or the motor of the fan. And here is where we test the capacitor of the fan and therefore concluded that the problem is within the capacitor itself, for the multimeter didn't budge when we tried to test it. This is where we disassembled the motor from the fan so we could inspect it more. The next thing to do is to bring the motor to a motor repair shop for copper winding. After the motor is winded back, the next thing to do is to assemble the parts back to its original place. Make sure to connect similar wires. Now that we have assembled the entire fan, we'll be now testing the fan by plugging in the socket. We could see that the fan is moving, and so we now therefore conclude that the fan is needed working and ready to create a good breeze in a hot summer day.